that's good. My snowblower worked well once I got it started. Found out that my... Oh, that's not good. My automatic starter on my electric start on my snowblower died. Don't know why. Hoping it's just the switch. Yep. Pretty bummed about that. Indeed, it does. But that's okay, because I can pulse start it. So it still worked, and I still got my driveway clear until the wind blew it all back in. And I'm here, ready to tell a story. So life's good. Alrighty, I'm gonna get ready to start this up. Looks like we might only have a couple people, so you guys get to choose most of the elements. So, that being said, type exclamation mark pick me if you want to give me my first piece. Alright, I'm rolling with that. CH Hackett, you won the giveaway. I need the name for a female character. Beatrice. Okay, and explanation mark pick me again. You win again. Now I need the name for a... What do I need the name for? Let's see, what do we want to go with? Let's go with a male character this time. Who's it gonna be? We get Beatrice and Salvatore. Oh my, these are some unique names. I like the way your mind works. And last but not least, oh, Nightbot can't win. Breedub, you won the next giveaway. I need the name for, let's go with a little boy. I need the name for a little boy. Well, that's a weird name for a little boy. Is that really what you want to go with? Philippe. Philippe. Or Philip. Philippe. The E on the end must make it Philippe. Okay. That'll do it for now, I think. Yeah, I think that'll do it for now. Felipe. 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 Ah, okay. I can do that. Felipe. Well, let's get right into this story. It's snow themed because of this lovely weather that we're getting here in New York. So, 'twas a normal Sunday morning, and Beatrice was just waking up. She uncurled from her bed next to the fireplace and let out an exaggerated yawn as she stretched. She excitedly bounded over to the window and looked outside. To her disappointment, the ground was still bare. No snow. Being an Alaskan Malamute in New York was tough sometimes. All she wanted was snow to play in. There were rumors of a big storm, but apparently they were wrong. Oh well, time to continue on with her day. She meandered over to her boy, Felipe's room, and nosed open the door. He wasn't up yet, but he probably should be. Beatrice remembered that he had a play date with one of his friends across town. She bounded into his room and licked his face. He smiled and opened his eyes slowly. Then he reached out and gave her a good scratching. This was one of her favorite things about weekend mornings. After she was certain he was awake, Beatrice followed her nose and the scent of coffee out into the kitchen to Salvatore, her human dad. She gently rested her head on her dad's knee, who promptly scratched her under their chin and said, "No snow yet, beautiful girl. Soon, though." The rest of the morning was rather uneventful. She went and napped by the fire while Felipe got ready for his playdate. Salvatore came over, gave her a good scratch behind the ears, and said, "Now you be good. Well, I'm gone. I won't be long." As if she was ever bad. Beatrice nodded off to sleep the minute the door closed and slept right up until she heard the car pull back into the driveway and heard the door slam. Salvatore came back through the front door, wandered into the living room, and assumed his position in the lazy boy recliner. Beatrice, excited that her dad was home, arose once again and went over to sit next to the chair and prepared for a good scratching. Just as Salvatore started to itch a nice spot right behind Beatrice's ear, Beatrice sprung up and ran to the window. There were snowflakes falling. She jumped a little out of joy and let out a few happy yips. Salvatore pushed himself up into his recliner and came out to look with her. He patted Beatrice's head and said, "Well, I guess you're going to get to play in the snow after all today." Beatrice sat at the window and just watched the snow falling. After what seemed like hours, Salvatore's watch alarm went off, and he jumped out of the chair and exclaimed, "Oh no, I have to go pick up Felipe." Beatrice ran to the door excitedly, thinking she was going to get to go outside and play in the snow. To which Salvatore replied, "Oh, no, I have to go pick up Felipe, but we can go out and play as soon as we get back." Beatrice whined a little, but she figured that this was acceptable. She followed Salvatore out into the garage, and when the garage door opened, Salvatore let out a sigh of exasperation. The snow had fallen so quick and heavy that the roads weren't cleared, and likely wouldn't be for hours to come. Dun dun dun! How was he going to go get Felipe? He knew the answer to that, and the answer was he wouldn't. It simply was not reasonable. His car couldn't drive through the thick snow. Like he said earlier, it would be hours before the plow came. So he went inside to make the phone call and let Felipe know that he wouldn't be able to come and get him. But Beatrice had a different plan. She looked around the garage for a moment and found what she wanted, and then she came bounding into the kitchen, excited as Salvatore was trying to make the phone call. Salvatore yelled at her and said, "No, we're not going outside to play. We can go out and sled later." Beatrice had carried in a toboggan. Beatrice shook her head, rolled her eyes a little, and was like, "How am I going to get across to this human what I'm trying to say?" Then she had another idea. She ran to the closet and opened it with her nose again and grabbed her harness, ran back into the kitchen, barking again. And just as Salvatore was about to yell at her, he saw what she was doing. She had her harness in her mouth and she was standing on the toboggan. And he realized, well, she's an Alaskan Malamute. She could easily pull that toboggan. Now the phone had just been picked up on the other line, and he said, "You know what? We will be able to come get you, Felipe. I just had an idea. Get your snow stuff on and we'll be over in about a half hour." And then he hung up the phone. He looked at Beatrice and said, "Well, you want to go get him? All right then. Let me get my snow stuff on and we'll have an adventure." Beatrice was ecstatic. Her tail was wagging so hard it almost knocked the vase off the coffee table. A few minutes later, he came out in his snow stuff. She was strapped into her harness, and her dad was holding the leash sitting on the sled. Salvatore jokingly yelled "mush," and to his surprise, Beatrice took off. Apparently, watching Balto had paid off. The sled glided across the snow with ease. Beatrice was so excited to be outside playing in the snow, she didn't even notice the weight of the sled and her dad behind her. They only needed to go a couple miles, and that would be nothing at her current pace. It was about 10 minutes later that Beatrice felt a pull on her leash and heard a, "Whoa, slow down, girl, whoa." And then Beatrice saw why. A giant tree had fallen in the middle of the road. And at this point, I think I need your help making a decision. And our decision is going to be, should they try to go over the tree or find a different route? Boy, it's chilly down here in my library. Should have put on some long johns. And the votes are in. And they're going to try to go over the tree. Interesting. So, with that being said, let's see. They're going to try to go over the tree. What do we want to do? Salvatore got out of the sled and led Beatrice forward. He was looking for a way to go over the tree. Beatrice, however, felt like something was wrong. She shied away and then started to give some resistance on the leash. Salvatore pulled a little, but then she gave more resistance. Salvatore noticed the resistance and said, "What's wrong, girl?" And then he looked around a little, and then looked at things a little more in detail, and then exclaimed, "Oh, sheesh! Wow, that tree took the wires down too. Sure, I'm glad you were with me. I might have stepped right on those." That's okay, though. I think I know a different route. And with that, he turned the sled around and got back on it and yelled "mush," and off they went in a slightly different direction. Through a few backyards that they probably shouldn't have gone through, but it was all in good fun. And then they came to a big field. And Salvatore, having fun and in the moment, excitedly yelled, Deborah, the mother of the little girl who his son was playing with, who Felipe was playing with, house is right just through this field. Beatrice was super excited to get to see Felipe. She'd gone all day without her boy, and it was just unbearable. So she picked up the speed. And they were flying through the field, wind whipping, bounding along. It was awesome. And then there was a loud popping noise, followed by some crackling and bubbling. Beatrice skidded to a halt, startled by the noise. She looked down and realized that they were on thin ice, literally, and it was giving way. Salvatore made the realization at the same time and said, Quick! Mush! Pull! Like your life depends on it, because it just might. And that's all it took. Beatrice lunged forward, putting all of her might into it. Every muscle in her body went to work. The ice was caving in all around them and catching up to them by the second. She swore that there were times when she looked behind her that the sled was gliding over the water, about to fall in. She barely reached solid ground in time, just as the last of the ice gave way. And as soon as she could, she halted to a stop on the solid ground to catch her breath. She had exerted a lot of energy there and needed a moment to recover both her nerves and her strength. Salvatore got off the sled and came over and gave her a big hug and said, Thank you. You may very well have saved my life, and you definitely saved me from a good chance of catching hypothermia. Then they gathered their composure and continued on to pick up Felipe. Felipe was waiting outside when they arrived and rushed over. He said, Oh, I'm so excited to ride on a dog sled. I didn't even know Beatrice could pull sleds. This is like the best day ever. Salvatore chuckled and said, Neither did I. She pulled the sled and harness out all on her own, almost like she understood that I needed to come and get you. Beatrice was sitting there wagging her tail, excited to see her boy, and rolled her eyes and laughed to herself. If only they knew just how much she understood. Felipe and Salvatore climbed on the sled, and Beatrice happily headed home, pulling the two of them at a slower, more cautious pace than she had on the way there. They arrived home safely. Beatrice was exhausted. She made her way over to her bed next to the fire and curled up for a nice nap. She was pleased when Felipe joined her, resting his head on her, and he softly whispered, Thanks for being my hero today and rescuing me. You're the best dog in the world. Beatrice licked his face, and they nodded off to sleep together. The end. That's going to be it for tonight's story. Short, sweet, to the point, a little chilly. Goes well with the snowstorm. I think we'll call it there. I think that was a good story, so. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. A little snowstorm themed. Fun. Reminds me that I'm in a frigid library. I wish I had a fire burning next to me with a big old Alaskan Malamute to curl up with. I'm glad you loved it, C.H. Hackett. That's exciting. I like it when people like my stories. Ooh, question. Do the glasses seem better? Less glare? Hoping that the anti-glare is actually working. I feel like they were, but it's hard for me to tell sometimes. Much better? Good, good. Very good, yeah. Good. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in and your help with making this story happen and all the details for it. It'll be uploaded to YouTube and you can see it on Twitch for a while until they delete it. I think it keeps them for 60 days or something like that. Have a wonderful night. Good. I'm glad Allie liked it too. That's exciting. I am happy. As long as there's someone here who likes my stories, I will continue to tell them. So, on that note, I'm going to kick it over to the ending screen. Chat will be open for a little while if anyone's interacting, but I am going to get out of here. Thank you again, and have a wonderful night.